Hello everyone, welcome to Naresha Technologies. This is Krishna. Now I am here to start a new chapter from core Java, that is IO stream. This chapter IO streams is a part of Java library. We call it as a Java API. Okay. So now we are going to start a new series of videos on a chapter called IO streams chapter. Okay. Let me take a heading IO streams. As part of this IO streams chapter, we are discussing all predefined classes given in java.io package. Java.io package is part of Java SE. As part of java.io package, whatever the classes are available, whatever the classes are given, all those classes are together called a chapter called what? IO streams. Fine. So I hope first point you understand. We are starting a new chapter called IO streams. As part of IO stream chapter, we are learning all the predefined classes given in java.io package. That is a point number one. Now let me try to understand one important confusing point here. I am calling this chapter as IO streams chapter. Okay, some other authors, some other faculties, some other lecturers are calling this chapter as file IO. Some other faculties are calling it as file handling. Okay, some textbooks referring it as IO streams, some textbooks referring as file IO, some textbooks referring as file handling. All are correct. There is no mistake. Don't get confusion. So IO streams heading is full-fledged. Okay, this IO stream chapter is not only performing file IO operation, means IO means I means input, O means output, not only reading and writing data from the file. This chapter also contains the classes for reading input and writing output from the keyboard and console. So this chapter, IO stream chapter, let me take something like this. IO streams chapter providing API means predefined classes, providing predefined classes for storing data inside a file. Okay, storing data inside a file. Also provided predefined classes for reading data from the file. So okay, people who are taking the heading file IO, their concentration is only on storing data inside a file, reading data from the file. Means this chapter related classes they are going to cover only from file. Okay, here let us say file is, let us say abc.txt file. Okay, right. I hope you got clarity. File IO means these classes are only using to interact with the files to store data and reading data. But this chapter also contains predefined classes to interact with keyboard for reading value from keyboard, and also to display value on console. Come on sir, you know very well, okay, there is something called, this is reading and displaying or writing, let us say, right? Now you know very well we have something called system.in and system.out. okay, system.in and system.out. This in and this out are background holding one object. That object belongs to what? IO stream classes. So IO stream chapter is not only meant for performing reading and writing operation on file chapter, also meant for performing reading and writing operations on keyboard and console also. That's why I wanted to call this chapter as IO stream chapter rather file IO or file handling. So finally I wanted to discuss 3 points in this particular video. Point number 1, we are start learning a new chapter called IO stream chapter. As part of IO stream chapter we are learning a package called java.io package, all predefined classes. Point number 2, this chapter is also called as a file IO or also called as what? File handling. Okay, file IO or file handling is only concentrating on the people who are giving the name file IO, file handling. Their concentration is only on performing read and write operation on file, but file chapter, this chapter IO stream chapter also given the classes to perform operations on keyboard and console also. That's why I don't want to call this chapter as a file IO or file handling, rather I would like to call it as IO stream. Okay, right. Next, third point I want you to understand here. What is the need of this chapter? What we are learning in this chapter? Okay, what is the need of this chapter? What are you learning in this chapter? Simple. This diagram is itself is telling you in this chapter, IO stream chapter, we are learning how to store data. Okay, how to store data permanently, how to store data permanently inside a file, and how to read data, that permanent data from the file in the next coming days if I want, in future how can I read. So the basic need of this chapter, from my Java program I want to store data inside a file permanently, and further I want to read that permanent data back into my Java program into JVM in future whenever I need. How can I store, how can I read? That is what you are understanding. Not only that, we also trying to understand, okay, how to read data from the keyboard and how to write data or display data on the console. Background of this in, background of this out, how it is working, what the full meaning of system.in, what the meaning of system.out, we are clearly understanding. Not only that, we have one more statement connecting to console to display data, that is called system.err. Okay, we have one more thing called system.err. So totally working with the keyboard and console, we have three objects: system.in object, system.out object, system.err object. I want to display output messages on the console, use a system.out. I want to display exception messages on the console, I must use system.err. I hope you catch my point, right? So totally 3 points I would like to inform you in this particular session. That is what is the chapter we are learning, and as part of this chapter which API classes we are learning. Java.io package API classes we are learning. And the next, this chapter is also has a synonym names called file IO or file handling. They are correct, but we are here learning full knowledge of IO stream chapter, interacting with the file, also interacting with the keyboard and the console. Also, okay, what is the main purpose of this chapter? We are trying to understand, using this chapter in the projects, we are learning how to store values inside a file permanently, how to read those values back from the file. This is the basic idea I want you to get. Okay, I hope you got clarity on what we are learning in this chapter. Okay, so try to revise once again the main point, you try to recollect. IO stream chapter is meant for storing the data permanently inside a file, performing persistence operations on a file, and also meant for reading the value from the keyboard, displaying values on the console. So this is the basic idea. Okay, now I wanted to understand, okay, if I don't store values inside a file, what is the problem? Okay, if I want to store values inside a file, what are the things I have to do? Those points we will discuss in the next video. Okay, so this is the basic idea you have to understand. I hope you enjoyed, you got some idea. Now in the next video we will discuss about what is the meaning of IO and what is the complete meaning of stream. Okay, all the details of this chapter and what you are going to perform, that we are trying to understand in the next video. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe to our Naresh IT channel for more updates on new videos and new technologies releasing. Thank you.